Welcome to Onslow County Today. I'm your host, Lisa Whitman-Grice, and you can see we are in a very different setting today. We are at the Onslow County Warehouse, and we're going to be talking with Christina Russell from Onslow County Purchasing just about all of this incredible merchandise that they have here. We're also going to talk with Tory Parks from the Onslow County Public Libraries about National Library Card Sign-Up Month. We'll also visit with Mano about Catch My Breath. We'll visit with Sarah Ware because it's time for the fair. And finally, we'll talk with Dedmond about upcoming municipal elections. As always, we're so glad that you're here for Onslow County Today. Welcome back to Onslow County Today. And joining us is our host here at the Onslow County Warehouse, Christina Russell, who is director of our purchasing division.
Yes.
Christina, thanks for being here.
Thank you for being here as well.
We have been trying for a few months now because we really like to focus Onslow County Today, once a month, to focus on those behind the scenes. And this is truly behind the scenes.
We definitely are.
Your team is the purchasing department. And the first thing we want people to understand is, what does that mean? As the purchasing officer, as the purchasing director for Onslow County, what does that mean?
Well, that means we kind of oversee all of the purchasings that take place within the county.
Okay.
So one part, as you see, is our surplus store.
Okay.
And this is the items that come from our departments where they no longer have use for the items, and they are declared as surplus, and then they are offered to the public to come in and search around and look to find a hidden treasure.
There you go.
And then they can purchase the items from us.
So Christina, that might be one of those misconceptions, is that a department, you know, once they're done with it, well, they just get rid of it. Maybe it just goes to the landfill. But these items, some of them are on their second, maybe third lives.
Correct. So when departments have no longer a use for the item, we offer it to other departments. And then if they don't have a use for it, then we declare it as surplus.
Okay.
And then at that time, it can come here to our warehouse and it's sold to the public.
Now, for people who might be interested, because that is one beautiful red chair. I keep telling everybody how pretty this chair is. If someone wants to come into the warehouse and purchase these items, maybe they've created a home office, or maybe they're first time, you know, trying to set up a household. There's some great things. How do they make those arrangements? What are your hours, and how can they come in and buy some of these things?
Yes, we are open here at the warehouse on Tuesdays through Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So the public is welcome to come in and walk around and see if they find anything that's interest to them.
Okay.
So we have anything from, as you can see behind us, we have some office chairs. Sometimes we have desks and computers and monitors.
Okay.
And we have a slew of books. We have some hardback books, softback books, as well as audio books, some videos, DVDs. And this is from our libraries that have been declared surplus. And so there's a lot of stuff here to come look and see.
There's a lot of stuff. You know, you mentioned the county is very efficient in that if one department no longer needs it, it might find a home in another department, which is a great way also of saving the county dollars.
Yes.
I mean, you know, something just like that, that giant lateral filing system. We do so many things digital, but there is still a lot of paper to be managed. And so first it might find a home there, and then, as you said, the public can come in. We want to tell folks, though, because this is a little bit of a tricky building to find, the address, and then really how they can kind of get here to you.
Sure. Our address is 1909 Onslow Drive Extension. So we're kind of in array to Belfork Road as well as the Hargett Street.
Okay. So if we'll come in that that New River area.
Yes.
And kind of just twist back in there a little
Right.
bit, but put it in your GPS and you'll come right
Yes.
to your front door. Again, what are those hours?
They are Tuesdays through Thursdays, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Now, anything that potential customers might need to know about how they need to purchase these things, cash, check, what do they need to know?
These are first come, first served, so we are not able to reserve anything for you.
Okay.
And we accept cash and North Carolina state checks.
All right. Now, the other thing that you handle in terms of surplus is the sale of larger items, which obviously won't fit here in the warehouse, but things like vehicles.
Yes. So we also use a online auction system that's through for governmental agencies, and it's called GovDeals.
All right.
They can be accessed online at www.govdeals.com. And this is where we sell our higher priced items, as well as if we have a variety of overabundance of items, we would sell those as a lot. And so like you were saying, we sell vehicles. Sometimes we'll have our heavy operating equipment.
All right.
And so those are larger items that we would have on govdeals.com.
So govdeals.com. Otherwise, Tuesdays and Thursdays right here at the warehouse. Lots of variety of items to choose from. Even as we were here today setting up, we were kind of looking around and sort of taken with this, like you said, these hidden treasures or hidden gems that might be here, and at incredibly affordable prices.
Yes, they are.
Okay. Well, Christina, for folks who might want more information, we always like to send folks to the best possible telephone number or your website about how to get that information about coming to the warehouse.
Sure. The phone number here at the warehouse is 910-938-0786, and we can also be found on our county website.
Okay.
As well, under the purchasing department.
Under purchasing, and which is a super easy website to navigate. Go right there.
Right.
Well, Christina, thanks for being here. Thank you for hosting us this morning.
You're certainly welcome.
Your team has been awesome, and we look forward to what people might come and find these treasures.
Yes, and we welcome everyone to come and see if they can find something they would be interested in.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is Tory Parks from our Onslow County Public Libraries. Tory, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, September is a very, very important month for our library system, really nationally for all libraries. Tell us what is going on.
So September is our National Library Card Sign-Up Month. So it is, like you said, nationwide. It is a big deal. We have information on our website about it. We have it all over our Facebook. So any person who comes to sign up for a library card during the month of September will get a small incentive for signing up. So they'll just have to come see what the incentive is when they sign up.
A little extra prize.
Yes.
A little extra prize for signing up. But really, a library card in and of itself, I always think of as like a passport, right? It's your passport to information and travel and adventure. I mean, that little card means so much. Now, we want to talk about who can have a library card, who should come in and sign up.
Okay, so anyone can have a library card. Children who want one have to be at least 5 years old, and patrons that come in to sign up need to make sure that they have their driver's license with a current address on it. If it does not have their current address, they just need to bring something proving their current address.
Okay, so when they come in, bring something with proof of address. Of course, kiddos with the grown-up in their life to come in. My favorite thing to watch is when the newbies, like the 5-year-olds, and then they sign their name.
Oh, yes.
I love to watch that. Sort of like the first, my daughters used to carry their library cards as identification in their little purses.
Yes.
Right? So it's like, oh, let me show you my ID. And so look at how important that library card is. The other thing is, when they go get their library cards, you know, this isn't just any ordinary design. You all have beautiful library cards. Tell us a little bit about what they might see.
So we have one that has a picture of Onslow County on it. We have one that has a sea turtle. That's the one that I have. My son has one that has a dog on it.
Oh, the puppies, yeah.
Yes, those are my favorite. We're also thinking about eventually ordering some that have cats on it for our cat lovers.
Of course.
So our library cards have beautiful artwork and designs on them.
So all of September, really encouraging folks who don't have their Onslow County Public Library card to go and get that card.
Yes.
You know, we have so many new folks who have just come into the area. That should be one of the first things on their relocation list.
It should, yes.
Go get your library card. So National Library Card Month, so a little extra incentives, get to pick your own design.
Yes.
5 and up, bring something that shows your current address. All righty. Now that library card isn't just about checking out books either. Talk a little bit more about what you have access to in the way of digital resources as well.
Okay, so we have tons of digital resources. If patrons go on our website, they can find a list of different websites. The students as well, even if they don't have a library card, if they have a LEAP Pass, which is similar, they have access to all of our digital resources. So
Awesome.
homework help, ABC Mouse, Britannica, all types of things that they can use for research, especially now that school is back. So just things like that that can really help them.
Very good. Library Card Month, and then of course, you all have been on a teeny bit of a break. Summer reading, huge success this year. Tremendous success. And now you're getting ready for fall. What are some things we can start to look forward to?
So piggybacking off of school starting, the Richlands branch is starting something new this quarter. And it'll actually go throughout the entire school year. They're offering homework help. So patrons can call and sign up their students for an appointment to have some homework help with a library teen volunteer.
Okay.
So that is exciting. We also have a Digital Learn classes that are going to be taking place at Main Library and at Swansboro branch.
Okay.
And those will be through September, October, and November. And those really include internet basics, cybersecurity, email basics, things like that for people who aren't really too familiar with working on computers. You know,
A little tech help.
Just a little bit, yes.
A little tech help, sure.
We have those at the Main Library. You do not have to register for it, but at Swansboro branch, they do ask for you to register. So you can do that by calling their branch.
All right.
We also have at Sneads Ferry a new program called Baby Steps, which is going to be helping parents and their infants just kind of with socialization and getting to know other infants and children in the area, and talk about parenting tips and bonding and things like that.
Well, we talk about how many of our toddlers at this point were born in the midst of the pandemic.
Yes.
And they missed out on that time. They have a little bit of trepidation about new people or new faces and new things. And so this idea of getting these infants out, these babies out, and saying, these are new faces.
Yes.
That is fantastic. So baby steps in Sneads Ferry.
Yes.
All righty. So anything else big on the horizon coming up, or just we need to go to your wonderful website or your great newsletter that you all have?
Yes. So if you go to our website, we do have our fall newsletter on there. It's about 20 pages, so you can look through every single program that we have going on for fall. There are about 64 of them. Awesome. And it is organized by branch, so it's easy for patrons to be able to see where they need to go. And it also highlights if you need to register for a certain program or not. So that is there. And then, of course, our Facebook page has also been gaining a lot of attention lately, so that's great. So yeah, you can find all kinds of new events and things like that on our website and our Facebook.
Fantastic. A newsletter that's 20 pages is borderline catalog.
It's
right?
a lot.
So, but that's awesome. And the way that you've got it structured really allows us to say, hey, that's what I'm doing next. And this is what's going on in my community. However, we also know that if Sneads Ferry is doing something and maybe I'm from another community, I'm not limited to just my branch, right?
Exactly, yes. You can go all across the county to any of the branches if you're interested in a certain program that Sneads Ferry might not have, that Swansboro does, or, you know, vice versa for any of the different branches.
Fantastic. Well, Tory, it is always terrific having you here. Of course, we want to wish you a very happy National Library Card Month and hope that lots of new folks get out there and get that connection to information.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us is Matthew Mano from the Health Department. Matt, welcome back.
It's so great to be here.
You know, I always learn something new, Matt, when you join us, and the idea of sharing information, that is, you know, our health department, your motto is keeping the healthy, keeping the well.
Absolutely, yeah, and we're always doing programs that are trying to bring awareness, increase education, teach people about nutrition, wellness, anything to help improve the health.
Improve health and prevent significant chronic illness.
Absolutely.
By the way, I have to say before we go any further, if there is ever a department that practices what it preaches, every time I've been at the health department, out I see teams of, you know, staff, co-workers walking together, going out, circling the block, walking around the department, taking the stairs. You all practice what you preach.
When we get that break, you know, it's good to get up. It's good for the mind too, mind and body, to get the blood flowing and get a fresh start and go back into it and look at your screen again. There's always that 20/20, so looking at something at your computer all day, sometimes it strains your eyes, it does. So it's nice to get outside, take a fresh walk, look at stuff that's further away from just your computer screen.
Well, I'm always impressed with your team. And I am especially taken with this new program that you all are offering called Catch My Breath?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a nationwide evidence-based program. Catch is the organization. They do lots of child health, nutrition, and wellness programs. Catch My Breath is one of them. And so we implemented this last year as a CHIP, a community health improvement plan, as a program out of that for our kids. And it comes out of our community health needs assessment. So we see kind of what the community needs, and then we take some tailored approaches to help improve those needs with these different programs. So Catch My Breath is one of them. It's a vaping prevention program.
So much. I mean, we've seen this. We, you know, as we were sharing off camera, as I was a kid and becoming a teenager is when the first real conversations were being had about the dangers of cigarette smoking. And then maybe 10, 15 years ago, the timeline, there is now the introduction of this new apparatus that on the surface is about smoking prevention, but not. Talk about vaping in general, what you've learned, because I know you, Matt, you've done your homework.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people think vaping has become this safer alternative to smoking.
Right.
But you have a lot of people that have started vaping that weren't tobacco smokers. So anywhere from e-cigarettes, and we like to call them e-cigarettes because people think of vape, they think of vapor, they think of water vapor.
Right.
And of course, vaping is not water vapor.
Right.
People don't think about these micro metals that they're inhaling into their lungs. Not only that though, they've added all these wonderfully attractive flavors to vapes. And so whenever people are utilizing those e-cigarettes and they have those flavors, you don't think you're inhaling that into your lungs. Typically, whenever you eat something and you have those additives, your liver, your other organs are going to help filter that. Your lungs can't filter that.
Right.
So you have a lot of risks with it, and a lot of people will see their shortness of breath, kind of your typical risks that you'll see with smoking, but then all these additional problems that you're having because you have all these additives and chemicals that you're also inhaling. So your companies, a lot of your nicotine for vape products are not regulated. So Juul has been through a couple lawsuits. So they've Juul is one of the main ones that has recently been on the forefront, I guess you
Right,
could
yeah,
say.
yeah, sort of.
So
yeah.
you'll see that one joule contains the equivalent of 20 cigarettes. So there's so much more nicotine in vapes, and nicotine is a highly addictive chemical.
Right,
So when
we know that.
Right.
That's, you know.
So when it's not regulated, of course, then throw as much as you want. And we've noticed that a lot of these vapes are marketed towards younger demographics. And you see that because, of course, if you can catch kids or youth while they're young using these, they use them through their whole life. And the FDA will occasionally catch some of these vape products. So you have stuff that has a vape that specifically looks like a Hello Kitty or a pager or a Game Boy game system that kids are vaping. They have ones that look like highlighters and glow sticks. And so they look like regular everyday items, or they look like items that are geared towards youth, because that's who they're trying to attract for their audience. And so not only do you have the delicious flavors of banana or banana splits, you have cake batter, these yummy cinnamon toast crunch flavored e-cigarettes. So you have them on the forefront of how it looks great and it also tastes great, but then you don't realize all of the chemicals that are going into that and that you're ingesting into your body.
And what's so obvious is that it is marketed at that population, and that really is, and what's so troubling to me is that it also, the way in which these e-cigarettes or these devices are designed is to make them like the size of a USB,
Yes.
These tiny, almost undetectable items.
Concealed.
Easily concealed. But you all are taking a completely different approach. This is not, don't vape, it's bad. You know your audience, and so you really want to serve our adolescent community and stop this practice before this addiction really is so hard, so hard to stop.
Yes, and we've been utilizing the program all throughout the county. So we've been working with Onslow County Youth Services, we've been working with schools, the teen court, Jacksonville Youth Council. So it's not just a matter of if you already vape, well, we want you to know that it can kill you. Here's all the facts. We also want to provide kids with reasons why they shouldn't start vaping. And Catch My Breath is a program that it works in ideally 4 sessions, 4 30-minute sessions over a month. It gives kids the opportunity to engage with these. Go home, look up some stuff, ask some questions, come back, learn something else. It gives them the education of what vaping is, the ideas between marketing, but also the idea of it is it gives them refusal techniques, exit strategies for when they're offered vapes. So it gives you the prevention side of it, the peer pressure side of it, when you're offered vapes, some things that you can do, some better alternatives. And then it also allows kids to be essentially leaders to their peers too. So the program is great because it provides the educational aspect in vaping and what it is, but also kind of those leadership qualities within it as well.
Right, so you're not just saying, this judgment of this is bad and you're gonna get sick.
Yes.
Logically, we all know that about a lot of things, right?
Exactly.
It's the next steps, and the techniques. For example, when you're 15 and you don't want to be the odd kid out, the fact that you've given them a way to say, "Hey, no, not interested."
Absolutely, and along that too, we have kids that admit that they do vape, and if they do, that's okay. Like you said, we have no judgment, but again, we're going to provide them with the resources and the education to show them, maybe here's why you should reconsider that. And then also we have a service that is called Quitline NC. It's a tobacco cessation service offered to any residents in North Carolina. It's free to use. They have quit coaches on there that help you to quit tobacco products, vape products, and then there's Live Free NC as well that helps for youth vaping too. So they're free services. We have quit cards that we provide with the kids so that if they are vapers, it'll offer them, again, those quit coaches. They can utilize texting, video conferencing, or calling, a medium that works for them. If they feel like they're going to be judged if they meet somebody in person, we know the youth love to text. So if that's what we have to use to work with them there, to help them quit, and that's what we're going to do.
And I love the idea that you've also partnered with all these other agencies as well. You're really coming to the students where they are. right? So
Yes.
you've had some great success stories. To share with us a little bit about some of the places again where you've been and how that's worked for you all.
Absolutely, yeah. So we partnered with the Jacksonville Public Safety, of course. So Heather Perkins, the COSAP substance use counselor there, she's great at partnering with us, helping to offer kind of some of the real life examples of what people have seen in vapes, what some of the calls and stuff has come out of that. And then we've worked with Onslow County Youth Services.
Great.
We've done Jacksonville Youth Council. We've also worked with some of the Onslow County schools, Sandridge Elementary, Southwest High, Southwest Middle, and contacted some more of those schools to be able to build more partnerships, expand partnerships, to really get this program in all areas of the county so that we can help to kind of give all the youth a chance to see what it offers, what Catch My Breath offers, but also to help educate them. So we haven't just done, it hasn't just been youth focused. We've also done parent nights with the schools. We've done just general vaping education so that people help to understand, again, for the adults, what also this consists of, what the e-cigarettes and vaping devices have in them, so that when their kids might hear it, they'll kind of have a little understanding. So coming up in September, we have a vaping education 411 at the public library. So
Fantastic.
Again, one of those things geared towards parents, how to talk to your kids about vapes, what's in an e-cigarette, and just that general idea of what's happening, you know, what aren't we seeing? Because again, these vapes can be easily concealed. So kids might be doing it, parents might not know. And again, it might not be their fault, but if we can educate them a little bit on it, then at least they'll know what to say, you know, if their kid comes to them with, hey, I've been pressured, or I've been offered this, or I've been doing it, then they'll kind of know how to talk to them, how to navigate that conversation too.
And that's so key, right? Is that communication
Absolutely.
piece, because there again, you know, it's not just about being punitive.
Yes.
It's not just about saying, you know, you're grounded, but let's have a bigger conversation.
Sure, yeah, it boils down to the fact that it's about communication, but you can't have communication without trust. I mean, your kids have to know that you want to be honest with them, and you want the trust to go both ways, because that's, like you said, ideally how they can effectively communicate with them is to know that, hey, I love you, you're my child, and I want what's best for you. And so it's not just, why are you doing this? You shouldn't be doing this, you're grounded. That's not ideally going to solve anything. You want them to understand, here's why I don't think you should be doing this.
Right.
And things that have happened, there's situations where kids modify the vape devices. So a lot of times it's not just the vape juice or the nicotine that's in it, but there can be illicit substances as well.
Right. So we really want to understand, one, what is this device? What is this product? I think, like you said in the very beginning of our conversation, the misconception that it's vapor,
Right.
like a nebulizer
Right,
that we associate with healthcare even.
Yes.
So this idea of vape, it must be harmless, knowing that all these chemicals are in place, knowing how highly addictive it is, and then knowing you may be vaping at this point, we can help you stop, but also we don't want you to ever start.
For sure. And one of the additions to that is, you know, going around to the communities and having our health educators conduct the Catch My Breath program with youth. We also have our health educators that are train the trainer for Catch My Breath. So they're able to train other community partners, agencies, individuals to be able to conduct this program themselves too. So that, you know, if one of our 3 or 4 health educators can't get out there, we'll have community partners that are trained to do it as well. So they would be able to.
Bringing it to the light, having these conversations in multiple venues and telling more people.
Absolutely.
This is phenomenal. Well, Matt, we want people to always know how to reach you through our health department. You have a terrific social presence. How can we reach out and learn more about Catch My Breath and other wonderfully life-giving, affirming, improving programs that you all offer?
Yeah, so we have our website, onslowcountync.gov/health. But like you said, we're also on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Onslow County Health Department. You can look us up through there. And then if anything, you can always call us too, 910-347-2154.
Fantastic. Matthew, Mano, it is always a really enlightening time when you and I get to have a conversation. Thank you for what you do, for keeping the well, and all you do to keep Onslow County healthy.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us is Sarah Ware with the Onslow County Cooperative Extension Office. Sarah, we're so glad you're here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
As summer's winding down, we're all thinking fall, fall, fall. For me, one of the big harbingers of fall is the county fair. And we are going to talk a little bit about what that's going to look like this year, the dates, how people can bring things for their beautiful displays and competition, and then tell them a little bit about how to get more involved with that. And then you have one additional fun special event that you all are having in a couple of weeks. So the first thing we want to talk about, though, is the county fair, and it's coming up in October. Give us some dates.
The dates. So you can attend the fair October 10th to the 14th, which I believe is a Tuesday to a Saturday.
Right.
And then if you want to enter any items into the fair, that would be October 9th, which is a Monday.
All right.
And then you would pick them up the following Monday, October 16th.
All right. Now here's the thing we want to remember with these entries. You all have, and will have distributed out in the community, your fair books for the month of September to get people thinking about. That is an encyclopedia of categories. If you are a crafter, a cook, a canner, a gardener, a creator, there's something for you. There's a category. Tell us a little bit about what, because you're relatively new to the fair world, this aspect at the Onslow County Fair. Tell us what it looks like on that Monday when people are bringing in their beautiful entries.
What does it look like? So there's a line and people have their arms full. Sometimes they bring wagons. But each item has to be entered in specifically by itself. So there's that. You'll get a tag. We'll give you some information. You'll give us some information. It needs to be grown, made within the last year, of course, right? Since it's judging this year. But yeah, you can bring in your canned items. If you think you grow the best pepper on the block, you can use that.
That's
for
pretty pepper.
Bragging rights. If your flowers, you think you have the best beautiful flower that you grew. Children, please get them involved. Legos, my goodness, they can create something, or jewelry, or drawings, photographs. There's so many categories, and you're right, you can find that information in the fair book.
As we walk around the fair, forever and always, I think I associate the fair with old movies, like State Fair and going and seeing. And really that is where fairs originated. It wasn't the rides or the Midway first. It's this celebration of rural life ways, starting out with gardening and farming and canning. And we've really expanded that because it's about being a maker, being a creator in some capacity. And you all have a beautiful array. Now, is there a fee to enter items into the fair?
No.
No fee to enter anything. Come in.
It's free to drop off your stuff. That's right.
And then if it wins, because these are judged, there's a whole lot of bragging rights that go along with that.
There are.
So ribbons and even premium cash prizes, correct?
Yeah, you can win money.
You can, so premiums, cash prizes.
And bragging rights.
Bragging rights and beautiful ribbons. Now, one of my favorite entries from years and years ago is seeing the prom dress that one of our Onslow County youth created out of duct tape.
Wow.
So that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, that sounds
But we
impressive.
see cross stitch, we see just a little bit of everything, your favorite squash, or eggs. For people who want to enter, do they need to call you ahead of time or just show up that day?
They can show up that day. Again, check the fair book. If you have any questions, feel free to call me, call the office, and we can help direct you and guide you onto what to expect.
Now, if you're not ready this year, the best part about Cooperative Extension is maybe I want to do this next year, and you all can make me better at it. You can you teach classes in canning, your Master Gardener program. We can call Master Gardeners and say, you know, my beautiful peppers aren't as pretty as I think they should be. Can you give me some guidance? You all are there for that too.
That's right.
Fantastic, Sarah. So the fair, October 9th is entry. Got to be sure you're there by that next Monday by, I think, noon to pick everything up. Hold on to your tickets because when you want it, you want your pretty peppers back.
Yeah.
You want your pretty peppers back.
Yeah, you do, of course.
You do. Now, we also know that you all do so many great programs for youth at Cooperative Extension. And one of my favorite programs to watch, I love to watch this on Facebook, I love to watch the kids post these, are you all have been in partnership with a dairy farm, and kiddos have been raising these calves, and you have a derby day, a dairy derby day coming up as well. Tell us about that.
So the Dairy Derby will be September 12th. So they have rescheduled it, moved it back since the hurricane. And that's at 5:30 p.m. at Heinz Farm.
Oh, these are the cutest cows and the cutest kids you could imagine. What a really fun way to connect with them. And so you're going to have that Dairy Derby and kids with these cute, I think they're Jersey cows. They're sort of strawberry blonde is what I think that they look like, that light sandy colored cows. They are gorgeous. So Dairy Derby, fair. Again, you all are always doing something. Send us to the best possible resource so that we can find out what's going on at Cooperative Extension.
Well, we have our telephone number that you can call and ask any questions that you need to. We have our Facebook page as well that you can check out.
Your social media is beautiful. Like I said, who can pass on a cute cow or a cute kid looking at at the camera. You all have had a super busy summer. Fall's kicking off. And what better way to kick it off than the fair? Sarah Ware, it is always fun having you here. Thanks for bringing these goodies to share with us. And I know you can't enter those specific carrots. There might be a conflict of interest, but those are really pretty carrots. You did a great job with those. But thank you, as always, Sarah, for being here and sharing with us about Cooperative Extension.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to Onslow County Today, and joining us now is Jason Dedmond with the Onslow County Board of Elections. Jason, thanks for being here today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
So here's the thing. This year is a municipal election, and we want to explain how that is different from other elections. You know, who's got elections going on, and then we want to make sure that we know where people can vote and what they might need to do in advance of voting, and then we'll talk a little bit about some new legislation here in North Carolina where we might need some clarification for our viewers. So first things first, it's time for municipal elections. And what does that mean, Jason?
Sure. The easiest way to think about it is taxes.
Okay.
So if you only pay Onslow County taxes and you own your real estate, then you will not be voting in the municipal election. So you've heard of no taxation without representation. You also get no representation without taxation. So if you don't live in Jacksonville, Richland, Swansboro, Surf City, North Topsail Beach, or Holly Ridge within their city or town limits, you will not be voting in this election.
And so that's what we want to be real clear on is, and we've had this conversation, I've had this conversation with other folks about understanding that we have the county as a whole, and then it has parts. And many of those parts are incorporated as cities or towns. So if you live inside town limits or city limits, you participate because you have, as you said, that representation. If I live in the city, I have a mayor, I have the city council. That is the governing body of that municipality. So towns and cities are all having elections this fall. When is election day? We always want to make sure people know because we sometimes have early voting, we sometimes just have that one-day voting, we have one-stop voting. So what does that look like for this year?
Yes, ma'am. So this year, the actual election is on November 7th.
Okay.
And the hours for that will be 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m.
So you've got all day long from early in the morning till after dinner, so 6 a.m. until 7:30. We know people have very different work schedules, so this gives them that opportunity. And that will be at the polling place in that municipality where typically elections are held, or do you have any changes to those polling places for those different municipalities?
Great point. One of the most common mistakes that a voter will make is on election day they think they can vote at the Board of Elections.
Okay.
Or wherever they typically early vote.
Okay, because we do have those one-stop or early voting that takes place. But because this is a very specific to those municipalities, that'll be different in some ways.
Yes, ma'am. And even when it's not, say, a municipal election, on election day, the only place you can vote on that exact day is your precinct.
Is your precinct. Now, we've got a couple of months out, plenty of time to get prepared. If I'm not quite sure where my polling place is that available on your website, or should I just call your office? How do I find out where I vote?
There is lots of quick and easy ways for you to find that out.
Super.
If you're old-fashioned and you like the telephone, you could call 910-455-4484, and a member of my staff would be happy to assist you with that. If you like the internet, you could go to ncsbe.gov. That's an acronym for North Carolina State Board Elections.gov. And it's called Voter Lookup.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't remember what I just said, that's no problem. Just Google North Carolina State Board of Elections Voter Lookup. It'll come up.
You know, if you just Google, where do I vote? Oftentimes it'll take you down that train.
It will probably come up.
Right.
Also, there's a lot of people familiar with our Onslow County government website, right?
Very good, yeah.
So if they go to Onslow County government, even if they don't remember that website, you just Google Onslow County government. Underneath that, you will find Board of Elections, and also we also have the voter lookup tool on that site as well.
Fantastic. So making that information quick and available to us, we put in our address, our physical address, and that will our physical address, right? So we're not putting in our P.O. box or anything like that. We're putting in our physical address, and that's going to tell us exactly where, if we are voting, right? If you're in an unincorporated area, it will say where you should vote. But if you are in a municipality, it's going to tell me where I should go vote that day from 6 a.m. to
6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m.
All right, 6:30 to 7:30. Excellent. Now, with that, on your website, do you also have sample ballots for people to look at in advance so that they can do their homework about candidates?
I'm glad you brought that up right after the voter lookup.
Okay.
So when you're doing the voter lookup, you could actually look it up by your name, not by your address. So if you look up your name and you're looking for your sample ballot, it will show you actually your most recent sample ballot and whether you have one available or not.
Okay.
If you looked yourself up and you know that you live just in the county limits, not in the city, you won't have a sample ballot. If you're unsure if you live in the city limits or just in the county in general, you won't have a sample ballot.
Okay.
So sample ballots should be available very soon, within the next week.
Okay.
And so a week from now, probably by the time this airs, if you look yourself up and do not see a sample ballot, you're probably not within a city or town.
Okay.
But if you have any questions, it's never gonna be any kind of disruption to us to double check.
That's why you're there. You're glad to help. Now, we've got our municipal election. Want to make sure that we know where our polling place is. We've got access to that sample ballot so we can do our homework on the candidates that are there. And then, of course, we're going to go that day to vote. Do you have any kind, with a municipal election, any kind of earlier one-stop voting, or is it just that day?
Yes, ma'am. So in Onslow County, right now, we do have early voting for municipal elections.
Okay, and when will that take place and where?
Sure. So early voting starts on October 19th.
Okay.
And it runs until Saturday, November the 4th.
All right.
All right. And throughout that period, Monday through Friday, It will be open from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m.
Okay.
There's 3 Saturdays during that period.
All righty.
We will be open from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Saturday until November 4th.
All right.
No Sundays.
No Sundays.
And the location for early voting for all the municipalities is the Onslow County Board of Elections at 246 Georgetown Road in Jacksonville. The reason for that is early voting is expensive, and when we have a midterm election or a general election, there's a lot more participation in the cost. So when you're just having municipal elections, most municipalities agree that just one early voting site will cover, because a lot of people on municipal elections, because it's about their specific city or town, a lot of them vote on election day anyway.
Right, yep. So they're sort of focused on that one day, focused on their town. But you do have that option to go to the Board of Elections there off of Georgetown Road to cast your vote. Again, that time period that you mentioned. And then otherwise, after that Saturday, the 4th, then that Tuesday is election day this year.
Yes, and they also have another option. So let's say they don't want to vote early. They don't want to vote on election day. They want to vote by mail.
Okay. Very good.
So the absentee voting by mail begins actually on October the 6th.
All right. So I'm not available. Maybe I've gone to visit family. Maybe I have to be out of town for business for whatever reason. I'm going to vote by mail, and I have that option available to me as well.
Yes, ma'am. And that's probably a great transition to what you wanted to talk about next, because if you do vote by mail, you're going to need to send in a copy of your ID this time.
Okay.
And that's because this municipal election this year is the first election where they're implementing the voter ID law in the state of North Carolina.
And so there's been recent legislation in North Carolina to change that, to create that need for identification. And the first question, people are going to ask is, what counts as ID when I go to cast my ballot? What can I bring with me? And I know that is probably an exhaustive list, but give us some fundamental IDs there.
Yes, ma'am. So a lot of people, this is going to be a big concern for them because they're used to just stating their name and address to vote. So now you're actually going to have to show a photo ID.
Okay.
Okay. So most people listening to this have nothing to worry about, because if you have a driver's license, that works. You do not need a voter ID. If you have a North Carolina state ID, you don't have a driver's license, but you have a state ID, you don't need a voter ID. If you have a military ID, which would be a lot in this county, you don't need a voter ID. If you work for the county of Onslow, your
your county badge.
County badge.
I look like I always have it on, don't I? But yep.
Your county badge will work. And also, we have a lot of community college and universities within the state of North Carolina. They were all given time to submit their ID and have them approved or denied.
Okay.
So most colleges are also approved. A great place to look if you're worried about whether your ID is acceptable or not is the ncsbe.gov.
Okay.
It has all the frequent asked questions and all of what's acceptable and not acceptable. And also, if you check the Onslow County social media or the Onslow County website shortly, we will actually have about a 5-minute video going over some questions and concerns about voter ID. Big shout out to Durham County. They're a little bit larger, so they have their own media specialist just in elections who created that for the state, the whole state to use.
So that we're going to use a statewide sort of FAQs that are going to be applied to all 100 counties. So it's applicable to everyone here in the state. Okay.
Yes, it wasn't specific to Durham County. I'm just giving them a shout out because they actually did
absolutely. But it's applicable to all 100.
Yes, ma'am.
And that'll answer those questions about voter ID. Jason, you all work year-round for like a really big moment. And so you've done, so much research to make sure that those questions can be answered for folks who want to vote, who want to exercise their right to vote. The last thing we want to talk about is if they don't have one of those IDs, there is an option to get just a voter ID or to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles, because there are a couple of options there for them. Some folks don't drive. Some folks might have, for whatever reason, have elected not to have a driver's license, or perhaps they can't drive. But there are other avenues to have an identification card. Tell us a little bit about those avenues real quickly.
Absolutely. So we have had a machine in our office for quite some time to make voter ID cards. Actually, before I was employed, I've been here 4 years and 3 months, but the law only went into effect for a short period of time. We have made them in the past, but then it got changed before that election. So this will be the actual first election since I've been in the position where you actually need the ID.
Okay.
So if you don't have any form of acceptable ID, we can actually make you an ID at the Board of Elections the same day. You will leave with an ID. And we are open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we will be glad to make your ID. And then you're going to ask, well, if I don't have an ID, how are you going to know it's me when I make the ID? Well, we have a form that you need to fill out. It's going to give some personal identifying information that only you would know. And then we're able to make you an ID, because if we made you present an ID to get an ID,
you would need the ID.
Right. So also a great option, because that ID that we make you, it's good for 10 years.
Okay.
But it's only good for voting purposes. It has no secondary privileges, as far as a bank wouldn't accept it, your drugstore wouldn't accept it. So if you truly do not have an ID, we've partnered with the DMV and they have waived all cost. You don't even have to tell them that you need the ID for voting purposes. Now it's a new state law. If you need a state ID, not a driver's license, used to be $14. It is now free to get a state ID, not a driver's license.
Not a driver's license.
But a state ID. And that ID you could actually use for whatever reason you need. And I think this is a good time to talk about concerns seniors may have. So let's say you're 65 or older and your identification expires. And you're thinking, well, as I get on in my years, I may not want to drive, or I may not have the availability to drive where I need to go to get my ID renewed or get a new one. Not a problem. If you are 65 years old or older when your ID expires, that ID is good for the rest of your life. For voting purposes. I can't speak for the DMV.
Right, but for voting purposes, that is good. Well, lots of options here, lots of great information. Of course, we're going to direct people back to the website to learn more. Again, you've given us your telephone number. Jason, we know you're busy. And we're going to let you go because you ran from one meeting, and I know you got to get back to the office. But we are grateful for your time explaining something that can sometimes be very complex. And we just appreciate it and look forward to talking with you more as we get closer to the 2024 elections.
Yes, ma'am. And one last thing. A lot of people will sometimes skip their local municipal elections. But I would be remiss as an elections director if I didn't tell you that a local election is just as important, if not more important, than a national election, because those are the folks who actually can set your tax rate on your real estate. So get out and vote. If you're not registered, register. If you are registered, please get out and vote, because I'm going to have a ballot for you whether you use it or not.
Well, I think that, you know, when we talk about that, I have a wonderful mentor who always says it's at that local level of government where the rubber meets the roads. It's not just about the taxation, it's about the services that all of those municipalities provide. So you want to participate in that. Yes, so we thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
As always, we are so grateful that you've joined us for Onslow County today. A very special thank you to Alex and Dan and Christina for hosting us here at the Warehouse. We also want to say thank you to Tory Parks from Onslow County Public Library, Matt Mano from our Health Department, Sarah Ware with the Onslow County Fair and Cooperative Extension, and Jason Dedmond with the Onslow County Board of Elections. You know, it's the beautiful time of the year. The fall's almost here. There's a lot going on. Check out our Onslow County government website. Look for things going on at Park and Recreation, including their upcoming Barbecue Fest. Look at the library, the museum, all of these sites. It's a great time to get out and explore your Onslow County today.